Right, hello everybody and welcome back to the Jack Throttle Show. We're here back on the top deck of the boat to talk about all things qualifying because it was one of the best sessions of any kind that we've had in Formula One at all this year, and what a session it was, right? Right until the last second. We didn't know who was going to win. Was it going to be Esteban Ocon, Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen? We knew who it wasn't going to be because it wasn't going to be Sergio Perez. Our first moment of drama came just over there behind me at turn one when Sergio Perez understeered, tried to power slide it around, catch the rear, but it was the barrier on the outside of Sandevot that caught him out. It was right after we went green in the session. We thought it was all going smoothly, but he was the first one to bite, and people were very, very quick to realise that, hold on a minute, Sergio Perez crashing at Monaco, I feel like I've seen that before. But this time for Perez, it was an intentional crash. He had nothing to gain by throwing it into the barriers. What he did have was a red flag thrown out after the crash. He had his car lifted right up into the air, and hopefully there'll be some pictures on screen now of what I was able to take of that Red Bull getting crane lifted down in front of the church. What people were very excited about actually was that you could see the underside of the Red Bull, the thing that they've been trying to hide from all their rivals, the underside of their car. The magic of Adrian Newey's ground effect was on show for all to hear. I hope you can hear me over the gentleman on the loudspeaker behind me. But after it was game over for Checo, we went back into green, and it was Sainz and Lewis Hamilton that were under pressure at the end of Q1. Both of them had to make their laps count, starting below that line in 15th. They both had one run left to make it into Q2, and they did exactly that. But they were showing the signs of the track evolution, right? It was ramping up towards the end of the session, getting faster and faster and faster, and that was a theme that we would see play out. So in Q1, your eliminated parties were Sergio Perez after his crash, Guan Yu Zhou, Nico Hülkenberg, Kevin Magnussen, and Logan Sargent. But Logan Sargent 16th off the bottom, a good result for Albon to be beating his teammate in that scenario, making it through to Q2, and similarly for Bottas, right? When your teammate's back down and you're ahead, that's a decent sign of power for you, decent sign of confidence and good bit of motivation for the team, right? Haas, the only real big losers, because Red Bull had Perez out, but they know they've got a quick race car. They might be able to push on tomorrow. We saw, I believe, back in 2018, Max Verstappen starting at the back here in Monaco, making his way through the field, I believe up to P8, but please correct me in the comments if that is wrong. Maybe there'll be something on screen now correcting me. So those were our 5 eliminated. We can cut forward now to Q2, and with 2 minutes to go, it was Mr. Lando Norris who suffered the fate of understeering into the barriers just over there in the swimming pool section. Started with a little knock on the exit wall of the Nouvelle chicane. Coming out of the tunnel, he'd lost the car. He tried to keep it going, but as he turned into Sabac, it was the outside wall that he was magnetised towards. Session over for him, not quite, but confidence knocked. McLaren were able to get that car repaired and get him back out, but I don't think he was able to really take the maximum positive result from the session. Hamilton was under pressure again as the seconds ticked down. Your 5 eliminated parties were Valtteri Bottas, Lance Stroll, Alex Albon, Nick De Vries and Oscar Piastri. Now, Lance Stroll's your real outlier there, right? I think when we factor in car performance as to where everyone thinks they should be based on like how good their cars are, Lance Stroll being down in 14th position even, really, really poor result for him, and I think going to put some stress on the internals of that Aston Martin team, right? Fernando Alonso's mechanics will be buzzing. They'll be thinking this is an amazing session. Our man Fernando's put it on the front row. But Lance Stroll is going to be starting at the back. It's going to be a tricky strategy for him to move forward. He's going to have to be aggressive. He's going to have to push hard and maybe switch on an alternate strategy, something like a 2-stopper. I'm going to have to talk even louder now because the loudspeaker man is going. Oscar Piastri down in 11th. Not a bad result for him, right? Top of the rookies, ahead of De Vries, ahead of Sargent. So while he's behind his teammate, Lando did have that crash, still made it through to Q3. Oscar Piastri, not bad, starting 11th, a chance at points. But does he have faster cars ahead of him? We will see. So those were your 3 knocked out. Oscar Piastri only out of the session by 0.018 seconds, 1800ths of a second, a brutal margin. But I think in the post-interviews, he was decently happy. Now, Max Verstappen had set the top of the timesheets in practice in FP2 on Friday with a 112.4. That was kind of your marker, right? We know FP2 is the session that you've got to look for when you're looking for representative qualifying times, so a 112.4 was decent. Maybe chuck, on average, 5, 4, 6 tenths take off that when you kind of add up full commitment, full qualifying speed, leaving nothing, no sandbagging, right? People can always sandbag an extra few late apexes, an extra few tenths of a second. That's what the best drivers do, keep something in their pocket until right at the end of Q3. But in your head, right, maybe breaking the 112s would be a sign of a really, really good lap time. So on Max Verstappen's first runs in Q3, he put together a 1:12.1. That was his banker lap. Next, it was Fernando Alonso breaking that with a 1:11.7 with his first run. That was really impressive, and I think everyone's eyes lit up a little bit there when we thought, oh, Fernando Alonso, he's someone who might be in the fight for pole. All the dreamers had that 33rd victory on their hopes and in their hearts. There's a potential, but there's so many stories this weekend. Will it be Charles Leclerc taking that emotional victory, or will it be Fernando Alonso, or the predictable result of Max Verstappen? So yes, it was Fernando Alonso taking that. Then Leclerc took it, beat Fernando's time by 0.054. The roar of the crowd as that Charles Leclerc lap went up on the boards was absolutely incredible. Just on the grandstand over here to my right, everyone up and cheering for the home hero. That was really, really cool. And then it was Carlos Sainz who got even closer, right? 0.023 seconds off of that. Max Verstappen went to provisional pole next with a 1:11.654. Sorry for reading off my notes there. But I think what was really brilliant about that Q3 session, not only was all the drivers pushing to the limit like we've come to expect in Monaco, but the parity between the drivers, right? It seemed like they were making the difference. It's exactly what we want to see. And I think the best evidence of that was Esteban Ocon. Seeing him jump to provisional pole for a few seconds, seeing him near the top of the timesheets, a huge statement for Alpine, right? With the remarks their CEO has been making, he wants to see double points finishes in every race for the rest of the year, and they've given themselves a really, really good chance of doing that. I believe, well, we'll get to why they've been bumped up after this, but overall, a really, really good result for Alpine. So yes, as I said, Max Verstappen went to provisional pole and the gaps at the top were very, very small. The dust settled as everyone went back into their garage, got back into their tyre preparation, and there were 3.5 minutes left in the session. As I said then, Esteban Ocon fires it up to P1, gets the crowd roaring, thinking, hold on a minute, mate. We know Esteban's had a brilliant result in Hungary before, but in qualifying, the front row, unheard of for the Frenchman. A great result for him. Not quite a home race, but I think I can see France just over there, and I'm sure there'll be some French fans here cheering him on. It was game on, right? Alpine, Aston Martin, Red Bull, Ferrari. Who was going to be taking the pole position? The last runs, the seconds were ticking down. Charles Leclerc, bang, the story that we all wanted to see. He went on to lead, to break the curse, took provisional pole with a 1:11.471. Next, it was Fernando Alonso coming round through the first and second sector, looking purple on the timesheet, spoiling the party in a typical Fernando Alonso way. What was he going to do? How was he going to mess things up for everyone else and steal the headlines? Little wobble coming out of sector 3, but it was on to provisional pole for him, taking pole position by 0.022 seconds. Beautiful. And you know that he was smiling in that helmet. But hold on a minute. As the police sirens go off behind me, it was not that we heard at the end of the session yesterday, but it was the entrance music, the professional wrestler moment when we see Max Verstappen firing out of that tunnel on his fastest Q3 lap, the redemption for last year. He wasn't able to get anywhere near a victory last year, wasn't able to get pole position because of that inter-team antics, but this was his chance. He had nearly a clear track in front of him, a little bit of traffic heading into to back, but that was not going to unsettle the Dutchman. He was up on his own time, but not on his pole delta on his steering wheel heading into the final sector. He was about 2/10 down, 3/10 down, what Red Bull was saying. He knew that without some crazy risks and a bit of Max Verstappen magic, a final roll of the dice, kissing the barriers on the exit of the swimming pool. Porsche Super Cups revving up behind me. Let me wait for those to die down. All right, apologies for the change of location, but just as we were getting to the good bit at the final end of Q3, the Porsche Super Cup engine started revving up behind me, so we've had to come inside to finish the video. But it was Max Verstappen who stole the party. We thought it was going to be Fernando Alonso when he jumped up to provisional pole, but Max Verstappen through that final sector, full commitment, touching the barriers all the way through the exit of the swimming pool section, laid apex at Rascasse, and then through Anthony Ninoge, hugging the inside of the pit wall as he dived towards the line with his DRS open. That superpower on the Red Bull was in full effect, and it was he who snuck through to take that margin at the front and take the front row from Fernando Alonso. He's got Alonso starting beside him, and we thought the drama was over. We thought the party was ready to get started, but there was a post-event penalty for Charles Leclerc, who was dropped by 3 places for impeding Lando Norris in qualifying. So he's moved back all the way down to 6th. Leclerc gone, Ocon back in 3rd, Sainz in 4th, and Lewis Hamilton starting 5th. So it could be the British hero on the podium today. That would be a pretty epic result for him. Special mention goes out to Yuki Tsunoda, who managed to qualify in P9 in what is a not very fast car. significantly outqualified his teammate like we've seen so far this season, but to get all the way into the top 10 for Yuki is going to be really, really important, and even 1 or 2 points out of Monaco could be really, really valuable for AlphaTauri, both from a marketing perspective and a sporting perspective, right? We know points mean prizes, so that could be really, really huge for him. Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in tomorrow to recap all the race with me.